I'm getting the nods. Yes, I am. Okay, thank you. We have returned. Welcome, members of council. Welcome, members of our staff, and we have members of the public with us as well. And we also have First Robotics Team 2013 right in the middle of the floor. We will get to them in a minute. We're really happy to have them here. Members of council and members of the public, council did meet in camera briefly just before this meeting, so we've just returned. And this, of course, is our council meeting on April the 24th, 2023. And so I'd like to begin our meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that Clearview Township is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Tiahuanacocha, and the Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people as part of the intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. And at this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships, and ask for guidance in all that we do. And as always, as the mayor of Clearview, it's my honor to say this land acknowledgement voluntarily. Council, we're going to move to item number 2 on our agenda, which is the approval. And so I'll read the recommendation and I'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that Council of the Township Clearview hereby approve the agenda dated April 24, 2023 as presented. A mover and seconder, please. Mr. Broderick, Ms. Deneen, thank you. Any questions or additions, subtractions to the old agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. At this time, I just want to mention that the deputy mayor is not present at this moment. However, he is going to be joining us shortly. He's had a previous appointment. And further later on in the meeting, I may have to leave just after 7:15, 7:20, as I also have an appointment. And so I'll be passing the chair at that time to the deputy mayor, but then I'll hopefully be back. It's only going to be a minute. All right, council. Item 3 is our disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Is there any disclosures at this time during this? Yes, Councillor Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. The Integrity Commissioner advised me to read the following. I wish to disclose an interest in report number COU 002-2023, repeal patio policy, on the agenda for council's meeting on April 3rd, on the basis that my brother and sister-in-law operate a business in the affected area. I inadvertently neglected to disclose my interest at the meeting in question and have advised the Integrity Commissioner and the Township Office in that regard. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So from that, have you then filled out the correct forms with the clerk? Yeah. Okay, thank you. Just that's a good reminder for all members of council to keep that in mind, that there are some forms online you have to fill out. Thank you very much, Councillor, for that. Any further? No further disclosures. If anything comes up during the meeting, please bring it forward. We'll deal with it. Council, we're going to go to item number 4, which is our public participation period. And we have several members in the public right now. They're in the room with us, so perhaps we'll have some. I'll read the notes here first, and then we'll call for our first public participant. Be advised that comments and views expressed under public participation period are not the views of the Township of Clearview Council or the administration. Public participation is limited to 15 minutes. Each person is limited to 5 minutes. Questions and comments are to be directed to the mayor, and questions should not refer to personnel matters, litigation, or potential litigation, or planning matters that have already had a public meeting, or any item considered confidential. Please remember to share the time with your fellow citizens. I'll call for the first time. Does anybody like to speak at public participation tonight? No? Yes, please come forward. You get to go to the podium. We've kind of deleted the microphone in the middle of the room at this time, although we may bring it back. I don't know. But for now, we're using the podium. Welcome, sir.
Good evening, I guess.
Yes.
I have 4 questions concerning the budget. Is that all right to go ahead with those?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, how about we handle them one at a time and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. The first one is, what is the financing charge for the 573,000 for the first 2 halls? And are the 2 bids set in stone with their costs already, or is there over cost in the future?
Okay, so the question on the halls, as far as the bids have and tenders have been accepted.
Yep.
And council directed them to be signed. They've both been signed and they're both underway. The financing on them was part of the budget process. You're asking for the financing in what regard? Like the
actual interest rate.
The actual
Time-
interest rate on the two halls that we're doing?
Yes. No, on this $573,000. What's the interest rate and timeline to pay that back?
I think you need to go to the CAO if and I think our treasurer may be on board. Mr. CAO, shall I divert to the treasurer?
Yes, please.
Okay. The treasurer is on board with this. Hello, Madam Treasurer.
Good evening, Your Worship. Through you to Mr. Witzka, there is no current interest charge, though the funds for the first two halls have been put aside by council in a small hall renovation reserve. So until these two are complete, there is no actual loan payment.
All right. Question number one. Number two.
Line item in the 2023 budget, $250,000 for the North Street Highway 26 pedestrian crossing. How much over that estimate will the threshold be on pulling the plug? And is there any county or provincial funding forthwith?
This is the North Street crossing.
Yes.
If I can turn to the Dan Perot, Mr. Perot, I believe that's your file. You got a comment?
Thank you, Your Worship. We don't know if you're asking for a threshold. We don't, but the tender hasn't even closed yet. So
Well, I'm aware of that, but the budget is $250,000
that's
as
correct.
presented in the budget. So I'm wondering where you'll pull the plug on it, like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000? That's my question.
Thank you for your question. I can't offer you an answer on that because we haven't even had the tender results come in.
Okay, line item in the 2023 budget, 30,000 for trail improvements. When asked about this at the public budget meeting, I commented on the pedestrian bridge structure failing and if it was included in any part of that budget. The short answer was no. Now it is further degraded to the point where the deck veers off to the right when heading to town. Are there any resolutions?
Nothing specific about that. I do know that our staff are aware of the structure. Perhaps I could go to Terry Vachon, who is our manager there. Terry, do you have a comment about the bridge structures brought up by Mr. Witzka?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, we have not engaged our engineers yet to review that bridge. It is on the radar, though, to get that reviewed this summer, to get a professional analysis of that bridge and the state of it. And if repairs are required, they will be done.
Okay. So, Mr. Witzka, you mentioned $30,000 in trail redevelopment. As you know, we have kilometers and kilometers of trails all over our township,
I'm aware.
not just in Centennial Park. And so that money will be used on trail improvements and maintenance all over the township.
I'm just wondering when the bridge would get looked at, because I could put, if I had some way to put up pictures, you would see what's
Yeah.
going on right now from 4 days ago.
I
And it's
appreciate
totally
that.
unacceptable compared to any other community around us.
Yeah.
Unacceptable.
I appreciate that actually, Mr. Witzka, because I saw those pictures and
Okay.
I asked some questions about it myself. So thank you for posting them.
Okay, my
Number
last,
four?
one more, and then I'm out of your hair.
Okay.
The Nottawa Fire Hall classroom, what is the upper threshold for costing before it's deferred? And before I finish, should you really comment? From what I understand, your son is a member of that fire hall.
He's not a member of that fire hall. He's a member of the fire department of Clearview Township. And yes, I can comment on it
Okay.
because has nothing to do with him. So I can comment on it and I can tell you that the work is being performed or put together through the fire department and it's going to be supervised by our our project manager will be looking after it.
As to costs, what will it be? And where will you say, no, that's too much?
Fire chief, acting chief, do you have any comment on that?
Through your worship, the tender was just posted and we don't know what's going to come back at. So I can't answer that right now.
Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who'd like to have comments or questions brought forward at public participation? All right, going for the second time, perhaps the third time. And there are no further. Okay, thank you very much. All right, council, we're going to move on to our deputations and presentations. Deb Bronny is here. Hi, Deb. And she's got a whole team of people that are here to talk to us. about the first robotics team 2013. And we have a great opportunity because we've got a guest right in the middle of our council chambers right here. Hi, Deb.
Hi, it's really nice to be here. I'm happy to be back in person and bringing the Cybergnomes to council just to kind of show you what these guys have been doing. People have been doing, not the guys. This is Carson, and Carson is part of our younger robotics team. And the robot at the very front there is Carson's robot that you took to provincials, right, Carson? Did you turn on your mic? Yeah. Is it working? There you go. Okay. So you took this to provincials, right? Yeah. Yeah. So I'll just tell you a little bit about the Cybergnomes because everybody knows the big robot, but we have other parts of our robotics program. Some of our 2023 members, I'm really happy to be here. We brought 3 of our younger members. We had 6 on our FRC team this year. And these are the younger members that are all residents of Clearview. What started out as a high school age robotics team has grown to a program to include an FRC high school age team, the Cyber Girls and the Cybergnomes VEX teams for ages 18, all for ages 8 to 18. As an organization, we hope having the different teams will continue to foster the development of interest in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. First, let's talk about VEX. There are 2 VEX levels. The first VEX level is the IQ team, and their game this year was Slapshot. They removed discs from a game element, and then they shot them through into a scoring zone. Teams consisted of 2 students. So that meant that we say we have VEX, they're teams, right? So they usually have teams of 2 to 4 students. Our teams had 2 of them. The Cyber Girls VEX team in the IQ division have been competing since 2016-2017 season, and the Cyber Gnomes VEX team has been competing since the 2017-28 season. So our first team was the 2013 R was Liam and Maxim. They completed 2 events this year and placed 16th at the first event and 24th at their second. There were 6 other students involved at this year, but they didn't compete at any of the competitions. The Cyber Girls, the 2013 X, were Kayla and Nora, and they competed in two events this year, placed 29th at the first event and 25th at the second event. They were the only 2 girls at the IQ level this year. So then Carson's involved in the VRC program, right? Yeah. And it was called Spin Up. So they collect discs and shoot them into a basket and place them into a low goal. The Cyber Girls 2000A have been competing there since in the 2015-2016 season. And this was the first year that all of these teams actually went to competition. Both of the VRC teams were made up of elementary school students that were competing against mostly high school students. So you can see Carson's size, and he walked in and all of the kids were like pushing, this high. So but they held their own. And this was, so the Cyber Girls team, 2013A, had Lauren, Kelly Beth, and Tegan, and they competed in 2 events this year and placed 26th and 42 in this 43rd in the second event. At their first event, they made it to the semifinals, and they received an invitation to provincials, but were unable to attend. Now, our 2013 R team, which is Carson's team, they competed in 2 events this year and placed 15th and 24th at the second event. And then they made it to the first round of playoffs in both of their events. And they competed at provincials and placed 61st. So Carson's here, and he's got his robot. It's all put up so it'll move. You want to go up front and just show it how it moves around?
All right. Hi, Carson.
Hi.
Okay. Let's see how this thing operates.
So Carson, you and your team built this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did it have to be a certain size?
Yeah, it did.
And then it could reach out of its perimeter though to do certain tasks.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
could make it to reach out higher than its regular
Okay,
like to block stuff.
okay, to move the discs.
Yeah.
Okay, you up and running?
So can you get it moving?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah. So the yellow disc is what we used to like as the playing pieces, and you'd have to pick them up,
Wow.
and then you'd have to shoot them into like a basket.
Can you safely shoot it?
Yeah, it doesn't go very far.
All right.
Where's it aiming?
Aiming to get the other guys on the team. Is it gonna come up? Help it out there if you have to, Carson. Probably doesn't like our carpeted floor, right?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, your flooring and your competition round would be a hard surface, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it gonna go? Going on?
But
Uh-oh. Whoa.
There you go.
yeah.
So Carson, you've watched, you're in this like a dirty shirt, right? How many of the FRC competitions did you see this year with your brother?
Probably like 3.
Yeah, yeah. So the games kind of parallel one another. They tend to be fairly close, have different things. Thanks, Carson.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for bringing that out.
So our FRC team has students from grades 9 to actually grades 8 to 12. And then we were fortunate enough to return to international competition this year. They attended a regional competition in Chicago and 2 district events in Ontario that qualified them for provincials in Hamilton. At their first competition in Chicago, although they were picked in the 8th seeded alliance, they would make it to semifinals with a record of 3-2-0. Now, when you go to a competition, and actually Councillor Beelan got to see this firsthand at Georgian, I think, we have what's called a qualification match. And so they play between 10 and 12 games where they're computer generated alliances. So we built our robot, and then every time we play, we have 2 other robots on our team, and we have to compete a task. Okay, so they go through the qualifications, and when we were in Chicago, we finished like, I don't know, was it 32 or something like that? But you know, you think, oh, well, the first 24 teams are the ones that get chosen. Well, it doesn't work that way because of the computer generation. Sometimes you could be on the field and you're the only robot that moves, and you might lose the match, but you scored like 50 points in that game all by yourself. So the teams are always watching, and we have our alumni come back and they become mentors. And it's been really cool, because some of you who've been on council before will remember Cassidy.
Yep.
And Cassidy has, she's been involved with Burnside. She's working on being an engineer, but she's working for an engineering firm, finished her university, while she is working on all of our strategy and helped us to design a program so that we could sit there and the kids and the parents could watch the robots. And then whenever we got to a point where we were picking the teams in our elimination rounds, we had a program and other teams were coming to us and asking, well, who would you choose? So it was very exciting to have, you know, we have these 6 members, but there's a big family that comes up behind them. So when we finished in Chicago, they did really well, but they got an autonomous award. Knocked our socks off, because anybody who's been involved in the has been involved in the gnomes.
Excuse me.
We
Why
don't
don't you bring those right up here next to Deb so that people can see them at home?
They don't necessarily, we don't necessarily do autonomous consistently. And this is what they wrote. The Autonomous Award, sponsored by Ford, celebrates the team that has demonstrated consistent, reliable, high-performance robot operation during autonomous managed actions. Evaluation is based on the robot's ability to sense its surroundings, position itself, or onboard mechanism appropriately, and execute tasks. This team traveled a vast distance and reached out for a strong autonomous performance. Their fan-cooled robot stayed cool under pressure and is no big deal in their country. Make no gnomes about it. This congratulations to the team.
Make no gnomes, but I love it.
There's always plays on words.
Oh, yeah, good.
But they won an autonomous award, which really says something for our programming team. They really spent a lot of time. And one of the things is there's always something you can do on programming. And they killed it. They did really well. And we had a very consistent robot. So the next competition they went to was at Western in London. And this time the team was picked in the elimination rounds for the 5th alliance. They made it to third round of eliminations and earned 26 points to start their quest for the provincial district championships. The last district competition to help them qualify for provincials was in North Bay. And they were district finalists at this event, which would be their most successful. They finished qualifications in 2nd place with a record of 11, 1, and 0. This is really awesome because it was the very last game that they didn't quite make it to the top. So they were picked by the 1st place alliance team. And these 2 robots, along with a 34th place team, formed the elimination round alliance. The alliance went undefeated until finals, where they lost the last 2 matches by less than 15 points in 2 of the highest scoring matches of the event. Although losing in the final, the team still came home with hardware as winners of the Industrial Design Award, sponsored by General Motors. And it topped off, this gave them 62 points to move to provincials in Hamilton from April 6th to 8th. On April 5th, the Cybernauts, along with 79 other teams, went from around the province, converged on First Ontario Centre in Hamilton for the provincial district championships. The teams divided into 2 fields, the science field and the technology field. The gnomes were assigned to the science field. During the 2 days, they played 12 matches with a record of 6, 6, and 0 and placed in 21st place. They were picked by the 8th Alliance as the second robot. And after 2 matches in eliminations, losing 176 to 13 and 149 to 131, the team saw the end of their season. For the Stat Junkies, the team finished their season 33rd out of 123 teams in Ontario, 40 out of 183 in Canada, and 648 out of 3,294 in the world. Although they did not qualify for Worlds, they're very satisfied with her finish. So we could show the robot and the robot could run around, but we wanted to queue up a video to just show what a competition looks like. So we have a video here from our North Bay competition.
The upper brackets, final match on the line, final spot, all robots.
This is like the autonomous period. So this is just programming that's working.
5870 already got the balance. 2013 Cybernauts, balance for the red, and it's a 2-point gap.
Now the driver is now driving the robot.
Remember, folks, this blue alliance is your number 6 seed. They already took out the number 3, number 2 seed, and now they fight the number 1 seed, led by 610 in 2013, who are both going to try and score a high Q and home simultaneous.
So every time you get 3 of those pieces together, they get extra points.
74 and up 4 positions.
And a cone generally, And there are skill levels there.
And that's good. Robards won 6-10 in 2013, tag teaming down the field, going into scoring position, trying to get 2 links completed. 6-10 completes the link. 2013 completes the link. Huge points on the board for the Red Alliance.
The strategy in this particular was that you were doing cubes and the other team was doing cones for the entire week.
Here we go. Looking for a high cone, trying to get in position while the Red Alliance once again goal scoring robots coming down the field, looking for more links as Blue Alliance gets their first on the board. 1374 and 5870. Playing lots and lots of defense, trying to slow down 6-10. Both of them trying to stop that robot from making it through the Alliance station to pick up more of those pieces. We're talking in a 4-minute miss there. They're going to have to come out and get another one. Going to narrow it down a little bit for this Blue Alliance 74-76. Parker Cone in their robot. They're going to go to their community 6-10. Cone in their robot. Looking for the placement. Lining up, taking their time, making sure that they get it right. And it's good. 2013 times the final piece for that link. If they can get it up for that cue, that could be the difference maker. Blue Alliance, we've seen them do this before. They're going for the triple. It's a hard one to get, but they've been getting it all day as Red Alliance try to get a little bit more before they go for a triple of their own. Blue Alliance back and forth. 10 seconds to go. They lock it in. But Red Alliance still has a bit of
Balance here, they get, it's an extra 30 points, I believe. So it's 10 for every robot you get there in balance. Yeah, so this is the team. We don't want to ask for money or anything. We just wanted to come and show you what we've been doing. And if anybody has any questions, the team or the mentors, be happy to answer them.
Well, first of all, Deb, I'm very, very impressed. Well done. That was a great presentation and the team looked like they did really well up there. So congratulations to all the team members, as well as all the mentors and parents that support the Cyberdome here in our community. Well done. Members of council, any questions? Anybody got anything you want to add? Robert, I know you follow the Cyberdomes.
Yes, right from day one and watched.
Yes, he is the biggest fan. I know he is.
Watched it on TV when I could get it, and was just amazed at the agility and the control. To the parents, thank you for your support. To me, it's important that our young people are given an opportunity to shine other than football, baseball, and hockey. And it's important that the mentors and the parents support the youth. You are the up and coming people of what's going on, and your proof in your design, your ability to repair, your ability to have others come to you and say, how do we do this? Because we aren't sure how to do it. The Cyberdomes have always looked after themselves. They've designed, they've built, they've manufactured their own. They have been able to show the other organizations, other robot teams, who is truly able to manufacture and make their own. And the Cyberdomes have done that right from day one. And to all the mentors and you, the organizers and the parents and you, the youth that operate it, job well done. And I'll continue to follow you as long as you guys are at it and going strong. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Robert. Good comments. Marty, do you want to say something?
Thank you, Your Worship. Deb asked me to be a judge at the competition at Georgian College. Thank you very much for that, Deb. It was a whole weekend event and I was thrilled to do it. It was a lot of fun. The video doesn't do it justice. You have to be there, watch the competition live. You have to watch about 10 or 12 to understand what's going on, but it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well done. And thank you for representing us there too. Any other members? All right. Well, listen, again, Deb, thank you for your presentation. Yeah. Andrew, great to see you here tonight. And thank you to all your members. I know there's many of the team are not here tonight, but it's a great effort and well done. Way to go, Gnomes. Yeah. Thank you.
I just wanted to say something. The competition in Georgian is really important for Simcoe County, and it just shines a light on how much STEM there actually is in Simcoe County. The frustrating thing that I see is that we are one of two teams in Simcoe County. We're the only community team, and then there's one high school team Banting Memorial.
Right.
And it's, our guys didn't compete at Georgian, but they went to Georgian. A lot of them volunteered because I was the volunteer coordinator and they volunteered there. I had one parent when we went to Chicago and he was telling us all the things and we went, why do you know all this? And then I remembered he was an official scorekeeper at Georgian. So there are skills that you pick up at every competition you go to, and you can always use them somewhere else.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to say to Councillor Walker's comment, when Deb, when you said that they went 11-1-0, I mean, like if that was a hockey team, it'd be remarkable. So this is a remarkable team right here. So well done. Thank you very much, guys.
Thanks very much for having us.
Well done. All right. You guys want to take your robot? You might as well, before we get on with the meeting, so we can, that's great. I think you've got the big robot on a cart, right? There you go. It's not going to drive out on its own. Okay. Thank you, Carson, for showing us what that little machine does. Have a good night. All right. There you go, council. The Clearview Cyber Gnomes. How about that? That was pretty cool. All right, we'll carry on with our council meeting. We're going to move to item number 6, which is public meetings. There are no public meetings tonight. So item number 7 is approval of the council minutes. I believe we have 2 sets of council minutes that need to be approved. So council, I'll read the resolution and I'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that council of the township of Clearview hereby approve the minutes of the following council meetings as presented: March 29, 2023, a special council meeting regarding planning a public meeting, and then April the 3rd, 2023, a regular council meeting. I'll look for a mover, Mr. Broderick, and a seconder, Mr. Beelan. Thank you. Any questions on the minutes? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Business arising from the minutes? Any questions? Seeing none? All right. We're going to go to communications from the mayor. Underneath item 9.1, council did have a closed session. We have no report to bring out of that session at this time. Perhaps at a later time, but today there is nothing. Item number 9.2, My Friend's House Community Assistance Grant Thank You Letter. That was lovely to receive that, and what a great organization they are. Council Ministry 9.3, Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, changes to the OGSRA for carbon storage. Any comment? Looking for anybody to pull any of these items that are on here. Is anybody looking for anything? City of Owen Sound support resolution, municipal infrastructure costs, insurance costs. Yes, insurance, both insurance and infrastructure costs a lot. Wounded Warriors Canada advertising sponsorship request. I believe there is something from that. If there's any recommendation that council would like to make from that, there is a ask for advertising. Madam Clerk, did you have something prepped on that? I think we talked about that. Would you like to read that for us and see if council wants to support it?
Thank you, Your Worship. So a recommendation could be if a council member would like to move or second it, that the approved purchasing one of the advertisements that's outlined in the Wounded Warriors advertisement package for their quarterly magazine, and then to include that cost, and that the funds for advertising can come from council's public relations budget.
All right. Looking to members. Yes, Councilor Janine.
I was looking at and the advertising. Sorry, I was just thinking we could definitely go with. Sorry, we could definitely go with a quarter page for at least one issue.
Okay, is that your recommendation?
That's my
Okay,
recommendation.
is there a seconder on the motion? Mr. Broderick seconded that. Any questions? All right, Madam Clerk, can you record that information? Anything further from the members? I'd like to recommend anything other than what, John, were you looking at something? No? Yes, no, maybe? Okay, go ahead. Mr. Broderick.
Just a friendly amendment. I was thinking 4 issues, actually.
4 issues.
That'd be fine.
Okay, so that's a friendly amendment to 4. Okay, Madam Clerk, can you record that? All right, any discussion? Any discussion? I'm giving time because I think people are refreshing themselves on this. Yeah, I'll get you to read it here in a second. Robert, you're comfortable? Okay. Go ahead, Robert.
Yes, your worship. I'm not sure I would do the 4 issues. I would rather do one and turn around and look at funds like that going to our local legions and help out other ways if we need to, instead of the money going to an ad in a magazine. I think locally it would be more beneficial than in that magazine. My
Okay.
thoughts.
All right, so we've already had a friendly. Did you want to make a recommendation or did you want to vote on it? Like, did you have a further amendment or not?
I would rather go back to the original, but to the one issue myself. So I'll make
Is that an amendment?
amendment to go back to the single issue.
Okay, I'll ask, is there a seconder then to support that amendment? Okay. All right, now we're at the voting on amendment already. All right, you ready for that, Madam Clerk?
Get ready.
Okay, we're going to vote on the amendment. The motion is currently to ask for 4 issues. The amendment is to move it to 1 issue only. And so the voting in favor of the amendment is voting for 1 issue only. Is that correct? Okay, you ready? Madam Clerk, we've got a mover and seconder for the amendment. I'll call the amendment. Those in favor of the amendment. Okay, then that's 4 votes in favor of the amendment. Are there opposed? Just for records? Yeah, okay. Thank you. So the amendment will carry. So it'll be a 1 issue. Now back to the original motion. Anybody else? Do I hear 2 or 3? Perhaps just 1. 1 is the number? I'm just asking. All right. All right, members of council. Madam Clerk, could you read the motion, please?
Thank you, worship. So the amended motion is moved by Councillor Deneen, seconded by Councillor Broderick. Be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby approves purchasing a 1/4 page for 1 issue advertisement in the Wounded Warriors Quarterly Magazine at the cost of $460, and that the funds for advertising come from Council's public relations budget.
Thank you. Any questions on the motion as presented? Movers and seconders are comfortable after amending? Comfortable? Okay, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay. And aside to that, we'll also work with communications department to make sure that it's correctly composed as to whatever the ad looks like. Thank you. South Huron resolution regarding bus stop arms and cameras. Any questions? All right. Council, I think we have anything further then on communications from the mayor. Okay. Very good. We're going to move on to county reports. There is one item that's been included. It's the Paramedic Services Launch Paramedic for a Day contest. The information is available in this recommendation. I think it can be found on our website. If there's anybody or any youth that want to participate in that Paramedic for the Day program, there's a really good opportunity there. And always hats off to our paramedic crews who serve our community from the county of Simcoe. Any questions? All right. I got a big council meeting tomorrow, actually at county council. The deputy mayor and I are going to be there, as well as we have the first of this term's workshop on waste management, because the county of Simcoe does like to talk about waste management at length, and it'll be the first of our workshops on waste management. I advised the deputy mayor when I was talking to him on the phone today that it is a regular topic that county councilors like to talk about is waste management. You might recall last term, we delivered the new CART program for our waste management. And that was quite a program to get it out there, and it's had amazing response. So people have really taken up the cause on how we use those carts. So anyway, tomorrow we have a regular council meeting, and then we have a workshop on waste management at county council. All right. So that'll be the county report at this time. Council, we're going to go to ward reports. I believe I started with Councillor Walker first last time. So I'm going to go to Councillor Broderick. You get to go first this time.
Thank you, Your Worship. April the 6th, attended the flag raising for Green Shirt Day, organ donation awareness. On the 12th, attended a special meeting of the Creemore BIA. Also on the 12th, attended the Clearview Chamber of Commerce executive meeting. On the 15th, I attended the Manitou Shrine Club's gala dinner in support of Ronald McDonald House and the Montreal Shrine Hospital's Transportation Fund. On the 16th, attended Central Ontario ATV Club's annual general meeting. Also on the 16th, traveled to Toronto for the Good Roads Convention, which went from the 16th to the 19th. On April 21st, attended the Clearview Small Halls Sunnydale Hall board meeting. And prior to the meeting tonight, I attended the Clearview Hall of Fame Selection Board Committee. And that's it for me. All right. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Had our first meeting on the Creamer log cabin and smallest jail meeting. So there's going to be a hanging of the quilt ceremony there. I don't recall the dates, but it'll be in the early part of May or mid-May, I believe.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Did you say there's a hanging at the jail?
Hanging of the quilts.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm certainly glad I heard that.
And then I joined fellow councilors for the Good Roads Convention, my first convention since being elected, and very long drawn out process, and learned a lot of good tips along the way. So I'm glad I attended.
Excellent. It was good to see you there. Thank you. I'll go to Councillor Deneen. Hello, Councillor Deneen.
Hello, thank you. So this weekend saw the opening of fishing season despite the weather. Everybody was down at the river, and along with that comes camping season. So there were a few hardy ones that had their trailers out and were camping. It was really nice to see everybody out. Nottawa Hall, we're on our 4th scrap metal bin, and planning on running it till about May 5th. So if anybody has anything they want to donate, we'd greatly accept it. Other than that, just the Duntroon Hall meeting. We've got a planning meeting Wednesday night, Duntroon Hall meeting on Thursday evening. And that's about it for me. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Hello, Councillor Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I attended the flag raising on April 6th as well. And I was at the Good Roads Conference, a lot of good stuff there. I enjoyed that. And I want to remind everybody that since there's a lot of Simcoe County forests in Clearview, that tomorrow, April 25th, is the opening of turkey hunting. So if you're walking in the forest or on any trails, you might want to wear something bright and don't act like a turkey.
Excellent advice. Thank you. Councillor Walker.
Oh, that's great then, because the moose is labeled can walk through and not have to worry. Thank you, Your Worship. Again, I attended the April 6th flag raising. On April the 11th, we had accessibility committee. We reviewed the Nottawa Fire Hall plans. We also reviewed the evening plans and had some not concerns, but we just need some clarification on 2 or 3 things. So we had sent those requests in for clarification. We tried the telecoil system. We have a couple with hearing aids in our committee. So we tried the telecoil system to see how it worked. And it was well received by the 2 individuals who felt it was a worthwhile system. So just we make sure that that's known, that it's out there, it's here, if anybody needs it to be able to hear. And we also talked about farmers markets information, maybe setting up at the farmer's market. We also will be doing a tour of the Creemore Mill Street patios once things get set up there, just to have a look to see how things are fitting there for accessibility issues. Then we had a library board meeting on the 18th. And from that, just the external signs to be replaced in front of a couple. We have again a leaking issue in the roof. We think mainly that's from the heavy rainstorm, so that has been looked after. And then on the 21st, I supported the Clearview Community Theater with their concert at the church, the community church, and then attended today the Sports Hall of Fame Selection Committee.
Busy people. Thank you very much. I just want to report briefly that, of course, I have been following, as both a fan and the mayor, I've been following the action at the Stainer-Siskins playoff rounds. And I can advise you, council and members of the public, that His Worship Mayor Richard Norcross of New Tecumseh has graciously flown the township flag at New Tecumseh Council, which I think is lovely, given that the Allison Hornets put up a very good session and against the victorious Stainer-Siskins. And so I very much appreciate his bet that we put together. And so it's kind of nice that his council is accepting our beautiful Clearview flag in front of their beautiful town hall. Subsequent to that, I had the opportunity to meet His Worship Andy Lennox, who is the mayor of North Wellington, also the warden of Wellington County. And North Wellington is the home of the Mount Forest Patriots, of which the Siskins are locked in a series with them right now. We are up 2-0 at this time, and they play again tomorrow night. So, I know people are worried about a hockey game tonight, but I'm more worried about the game tomorrow night, to be quite honest. So I'll be definitely cheering for the Siskins tomorrow. I just want to comment that the crowds yesterday at the Stainer Community Center, I spoke to people from Mount Forest, and they were very complimentary towards our arena and towards our staff and towards the condition of the ice. So hats off to the ice making crew. Given that the weather is turning warm, they're still doing their best. I did get a few comments that the heating system was not on, and I said that that's fine. The heating system could stay off as long as we've got good ice. I'm fine with that. So people wear your mitts and gloves if you're coming to the game. Anyway, that's what I've been doing. I did enjoy going to the Good Roads Conference. It was great to have so many members of our council there and members of our staff, and there was a good conference, and it was a pretty good discussion and a lot of talk about the future of electric vehicles and EV vehicles of all types entering our roadways across Ontario. There was an awful lot of discussion about that. As part of the meetings, you do have the opportunity to have delegations with members of the provincial cabinet. And this group was able to secure a meeting for the 4th time with Minister Raymond Cho, who's the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility. And I was pleased to present to him all 4 of our delegation packages, showing that we have asked several questions in asking for support from the provincial government for AODA renovations to our small halls. And there were some interesting conversations, but nothing firm came out of that. And so I can tell you that I'm quite prepared to meet with them once again to remind them that how important it is to this community and to many communities across Ontario that community centers have AODA compliance and that there be publicly available funding to support those renovations. So the battle continues in that regard. Thank you very much for everybody who supported that. That's all I'm going to say at this time. So council, we're going to move on in our agenda to item 12, which is a whole series of reports. We have several members of our staff here. So let's get through some of these reports, and then we do have some presentations through our staff that are going to be talking about some of the items on here. Again, the deputy mayor should be joining us soon. Okay, council report. Building and Planning Committee of Adjustment for April 2023. Recommendation be it resolved that the report PB 019-2023 dated April 24th, 2023 be received. Can I have a mover and seconder, please, from this side of the room? Deneen and Beelan. Any questions from members of council? Seeing none, I'll call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you very much. The Building Department Activities Report for March 2023. Scott is here at the podium. I'll read the recommendation, Scott, and then we'll hear your report. A recommendation be it resolved that report PB 2023 Building Department Activities for March 2023 dated April 24, 2023 be received. We'll consider it moved by Mr. Broderick and Mr. MacArthur. Council, Scott McLeod, our chief building official, is here. Would you like to go through some of the items, or are you just looking for questions?
I'll just highlight a few things from.
Please go right ahead.
Entertain that. So with the report, you will see from the information that the number of permits this year compared to the same time period, the first 3 months last year, is reduced over last year. A lot of that is as a result of the first 3 months of last year. We had between 50 and 60 new homes in a particular development that came forward. And that's primarily the difference. Otherwise, generally, the statistics are very similar. As well, in the report, it's just highlighting where we are at with our septic reinspection program. So we're at the tail end of it. We've gone through our first 5-year cycle. We're on our second 5-year cycle. And there's only 10 remaining properties to review, so that will be completed this year. Additionally, you'll see that there is an extensive list of education and training that staff have been undertaking, and with that, I'm pleased to advise that 2 staff members, Jacob Flair, has received his qualification for plumbing all buildings, which is super helpful. He can now deal with plumbing in the field. And as well, Jen Loeb in our office has received her qualification for the house, which again allows her to expand her abilities in that regard. So we're quite pleased about that. Beyond that, I offer the report and certainly welcome any questions.
All right, members of council, do you have any questions to our chief building official? Okay, not seeing any. Thank you, Scott, for coming out tonight. Nice to see you. All right, members of council, you have the motion in front of you. I believe we have a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. Before I do, I just want to acknowledge that the deputy mayor is with us now. So Deputy Mayor, you can vote on this as you walked in the middle or not. It's up to you. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. We'll consider the deputy mayor here now. How's that? Thank you, Paul. Nice to see you. Glad you were able to join us. Okay, we do have the next item also from the Planning and Building Department. This is report PB 022-2023 Niagara Escarpment Plan Amendment. I'll read the recommendation. I'll look for a mover and seconder. I think they may have some comments. I'm not sure. I'm looking at Amy. She's prepared. And so is Nick. Excellent. Okay, be it resolved that PB 022-2023 dated April 24, 2023 be received. And further, that council endorse the Planning and Building Services comments as outlined within Appendix 4 of Report PB 022-2023 and authorize Planning and Building Services staff to submit comments contained within Appendix 4 of Report PB 022-2023 to the Niagara Escarpment Commission. Okay, I'll look for a mover and seconder. That would be Deneen and Walker. Thank you very much. I'll start with Amy and then go to Nick. Amy, have you got any comments you want to add to this report?
I have no specific comments. Your worship, we were circulated a request to comment on this proposed amendment to the Niagara Escarpment Plan respecting on-farm diversified uses. And so we've done a review and given you this report. And so we're happy to, nothing alarming coming out of it. So we're happy to answer any questions. Nick is online as well.
Yeah, I like the way you said nothing alarming. It's like the longest report in our entire agenda. But it's nothing alarming. Okay, Nick, are you going to alarm us here now? Nick.
Thank you, Worship. No, there's not too much to add to what Amy had indicated there. So as she's indicated, we did receive a request for comment. So we did review, and I believe the report's so long because we did do several appendices to it. But it's the changes are a result, or the proposed amendment is a result of about 5 years of monitoring from NEC staff regarding the implementation of their most recent plan, which was done in 2017. And it's also based on feedback they've received from stakeholders. And like I said, there's no major new policies coming through. It's just several amendments to the existing policies. Staff didn't find these to be anything major, but we did have several minor comments that we'd like to submit to NEC staff for their consideration that we think might help improve them. And we're seeking council's direction to do so.
All right. Thank you very much, Nick. I'll look to members of council. Do you have any questions to our staff about the comments that are proposed to be submitted? Yes, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, not so much questions, but just it's a well-detailed report, and I think we definitely need to help support what they've recommended in this report for all of the Niagara Escarpment, not just the part that's in Clearview, because we do have several businesses, proposed businesses and ongoing businesses in the escarpment region that this will impact in one way or another. So I fully support putting this report forward. Thank you.
All right. Good comment. Thank you very much. Any other members of council have any questions or comments? Okay. Looking your, oh, sorry. Yes, Deputy Mayor. Go ahead, Paul.
Thank you. I just, in my reading, it was nice to see that they've addressed as far as some of the agricultural concerns. And I'm hoping as we go forward with our planning and changes that we can incorporate a lot of their ideas with our ideas as far as what we can do to assist agricultural properties, rural, I shouldn't say agricultural, rural properties. Let's redefine that. So, thank you.
Well done. Well said. Okay. Nick, I'll thank you very much for your work on this, and also to Amy. Council has a resolution in front of them with a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous. Thank you. Okay, bylaw enforcement now. This is, I believe our bylaw enforcement officer is with us. Oh, there he is. Yes, Mr. Paddock is on board. That's great to see. Bylaw enforcement BL 003 2023 Municipal Pound Services Agreement recommendation. I'll read the recommendation. Look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that report BL 003 2023 Municipal Pound Services Agreement dated April 24, 2023 be received. And further, that council approves entering into a municipal pound services agreement with the Allison and District Humane Society for a period of 3 years, commencing April 2023 and ending May 2026, with an option for an automatic renewal for an additional 3 years. Mover and seconder on the motion. Ms. Deneen and Mr. Walker. Thank you. Any questions? And I'm not sure if Joe wanted to join us or not. How about we go to the clerk if there's any question? Any questions? The clerk can handle it. Yes, Deputy Mayor.
When reading the report, I think it's a really good agreement. I don't have any problems, especially I didn't realize, I believe they're in Everett or Lyle, the location of the.
I think so. Yeah, that's right.
Relatively close to our boundary. We had a presentation a while ago from the Georgian Triangle Humane Society. I sort of question, are they going to step up eventually, or not that I'm complaining about this agreement, they wanted our support and sort of bring up our costs in line with their costs sort of thing.
I'll just give you a brief comment before I go to the staff, and that is we are still discussing with the Georgian Triangle Humane Society exactly what it is that they're asking for. And I could perhaps defer to the CAO, the Mayors and CAOs Forum, which is a non-legislated body, but does meet as a group, did pass a recommendation to CAO Ferguson, who will be basically communicating with them on behalf of all of us. Is that correct, Mr. Ferguson? Do you want to comment?
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. That's correct. They asked if we would sort of volunteer our support to help them put their plan together so that they're going to be consistent in their request to each municipality as it relates to the potential facility that they're looking at, in that we would get ready to bring these back to our individual councils. So the individual councils will have to make a decision on it, but ultimately trying to bring some consistency to it, and to take a look at funds that wouldn't be offered over a 3 or 4 year period, but rather 10 or maybe even 15 years. with a lower amount of money being allocated over that longer time period.
So
I guess just to finish it up, your worship, I've sent I actually left a voice message with Mr. Peacock today. I haven't heard back yet, but I'm going to follow up. I'll forward him the resolution as well, and I'll meet with them and give them a little bit of background on what came out of the meeting.
that's great. So back to this topic, Deputy Mayor, the performance of this contract has been very favorable towards Clearview. And many years ago, there was a quote obtained from Georgia Child Humane Society to provide similar services. And it was just outside of the range of what we could justify making that type of change. So perhaps just to Joe. Joe, you're hello, Joe. Glad to have you joining us there. He's our Chief Bylaw Officer. You're very satisfied with the services provided by Allison Humane Society. Joe, any comments?
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, we have a great working relationship. Their costs are really reasonable for the taxpayers and the people who have to pick up their dogs. So there's been no complaints.
And services wise, it's been excellent. Is that right? Like it's been no problem dealing with them?
There's been no problem. It's excellent.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Okay, the clerk wants to jump in here too. We'll let her speak.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just to make a comment regarding the Georgian Triangle Humane Society, we did receive a quote from them many years ago. Our senior bylaw enforcement officer did reach out in 2019 to see if they would be providing another quote to us. At that time, they declined to provide any quotes because they were already at capacity servicing other municipal partners. So they declined to give us a quote for services.
All right. That's some clarity. How's that?
Much better.
All right. Good discussion. All right, council, we have a mover and seconder on this, and I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Thank you. All right, going over to Parks and Recreation. Let's see, we've got the Small Hall Festival Series. I believe Amanda's in the audience. Hello, Amanda. Are you presenting on this as well? Nice to see you. Welcome aboard. Terry's here, of course, as well. Here's the recommendation, and then we'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that the report PR 007-2023, the Small Hall Festival Series dated April 24, 2023 be received. We have a mover and seconder, Deputy Mayor and Mr. Broderick. Thank you. And hello, Amanda Murray.
Hi, welcome. Thank you so much for having me. Good evening, members of council. I'm going to just keep my presentation pretty brief, just to highlight some key points from the report. Just a reminder for council, as well as for any of our public listening in, the primary objectives and goals of the Small Halls Festival is to have a tourism event that would attract people to all of Clearview Township, to promote our township as a unique rural destination, and to support the viability of our community halls, as well as our community partners. So the reason for this report for this year is I have to commend all of our volunteers. During COVID, we really took a time to reimagine the festival as a festival series, took a leap of faith that instead of having it as one weekend, the festival series for small halls started on September 10th and went right through until November 5th. So in essence, each hall and many of our community partners work together to promote our Small Halls Festival and everything that there is to see and do here in Clearview. This report also outlines the roles and responsibilities and how our department through Parks and Rec work collaboratively with our halls as well as our community partners. And it really sets in stone what we do as staff, as well as the responsibility of the volunteers, as well as it outlines the revenue and expense distribution between our community partners, our small halls, and then our department. So in essence, what we try to accomplish with the Small Halls Festival is to have a break-even point when it comes to the finances, with the majority of the money being reinvested with our community halls directly. And that reinvestment is through a number of ways. So there's ticket sales, there's obviously food and beverage that each of the halls is responsible for, our corporate sponsorship partners, which we are very fortunate to have many community partners that step up and financially support our halls. And the majority of all that money gets sent back to the halls that participate. The halls are responsible for all of the planning. They set the theme They get involved with what caterers. We obviously, through my team, really try to support with the diversity of events that come in, with the type of programming, the caliber of entertainment. We provide a lot of guidance, but in essence, the hall is responsible for their event, with the exception of two main events that our team handles. And that's specifically the opening night kickoff. It's nicknamed the Ring the Bell ceremony. Sunnydale Corners Hall hosted it last year. And then the other event that we plan exclusively is the Backroads Rally. The Backroads Rally was started as a Canada 150 initiative, and it's since grown. And last year in 2022, we incorporated the ATV community into it. So we had 75 ATVs show up and take part on designated trails and routes that connected 3 of our halls, as well as we still have classic cars and motorcycles. So just 2 really unique events and programs that our team takes on, that we get that full support from those halls. We couldn't do any of this without volunteers. We have over 175 volunteers that step up to the plate. They take all year to do the planning. We hold through our department a number of meetings with all of the halls, as well as individually that one-on-one response time. One of the other roles that our department takes on that's outlined in the report is all of the surveys, the visitor surveys, as well as the economic modeling survey. So just a few highlights. We use the provincial standard. It's called TREM. It's the Tourism Regional Economic Model Impact Study. That indicated that there's $350,000 generated in 2022 in Simcoe County alone. And then we also do our online ticket sales and our visitor survey studies. So just a couple highlights. We're obviously supporting the tourism and strategic plan that was presented earlier this year. The Small Halls Festival also supports many of our pillars in our current strategic plan. It provides opportunities for volunteers. It's a unique area for recreation and cultural experiences. And there are many spin-off benefits for the festival. It really does introduce new people into our community hall. So that's kind of part of the reason that we do this report every year, is it's not just about the financial output at the end. It really is about all those other benefits that are incorporated with the Small Halls Festival. So mark your calendar. It's coming back as a festival series. Our hall boards are really excited to take ownership of that again. So again, similar plan. It'll be September to November of this year. And for council and anybody else, I'm happy to answer any questions related to the report or otherwise.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Ms. Murray. Members of council, any questions to Amanda? I see Paul and or Terry, who's also, of course, here too. Go ahead, Paul.
Amanda, thank you. Reading your report, I was really impressed in the demographics of where those online ticket sales went to. And I was really surprised how strong they were in Creemore. And I thought we would have had a stronger purchasing from Toronto. And it doesn't seem to be that way. Like we have 40, if I was correct, it was about 40 of the so many tickets. Do we do anything about that? Like when we advertise for the small halls, I see it around here locally, but our draw seems to be locally. I want to hit that up.
Yes, so through you, Mayor Measures, to Deputy Mayor Van Staveren. So a couple items on the online ticket sales. You are correct. We do have a large local following, especially with having the programs and events now kind of situated at different halls throughout the year. People can pick and choose the events. Our online ticket sale platform, it's ticketscene.ca, tabulates ticket purchases by people's postal codes. So if a purchaser has property in Clearview Township or in the Creemore postal code, and they enter that as their mailing address or their primary address, that's one way that the information is calculated, so that it's based on mailing address. The other unfortunate part to the online ticket sales that may not reflect this is it's based on the primary ticket holder. So for example, if I was to purchase a ticket, but bought it for 4 additional people, it would just be under my one postal code, not necessarily reflective of all the other holders. So we do try to get people to purchase their tickets on an individual basis. But what is really great about the sales by city is Yes, there's Creemore and Collingwood and Stainer. It is quite local in that sense. You have to keep in mind, we were just coming out of COVID. We hadn't hosted a festival in 3 years. So the fact that we were still able to draw from Malmer, Toronto, Wasaga, it's still, I think, representative of the fact that we are a destination.
I agree. Good call. Anybody else with any questions in regards? Yes. Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I noticed your sales by top 10 cities. New Lowell became a city?
Yes.
No, I had a question about your,
We're building a subway station. You know that.
you said the economic impact was $350,000 in total visitor spending. How did you arrive at that?
Sure. So what we do is TREM, it's a provincial standard. So it actually allows us to compare apples to apples. I'm not a statistician, but I've used this model for many, many years. And it is based on overall number of tickets purchased based on the number of tickets that are available. And then generating our postal code data, we can determine the percentage of non-resident postal code. So that's greater than 40 kilometers by the provincial standards. So then I enter that percentage into the overall number of tickets available with the base price and the opportunity for the capacity at each of the halls. And then the province in their magic formula actually generates the actual economic number. But it is based on the number of the number of ticket sales purchased from individuals further than 40 kilometers away. Determines the economic drive of a tourist in Simcoe County for our event.
So
Not a scientist, though.
your bottom
Recreation.
line says the financial implications. So we budget 79,000 and we have $55,800 in revenue collected.
Mhm.
So pretty well half of that goes to the hall boards and the other half goes back to the township, right?
It's retained for the township, yes.
So in effect, we're spending about $52,000 to generate $350,000 worth of money.
I came in substantially under that $79,000 budget. We try to work off of a break-even point. There is some costs incurred by the taxpayer. That's not reflective in this report, but it is very much a break-even. Whatever
So will we
revenue
get
comes
another
in,
report that
we're
does
able
show
to
that?
go
Or
out. Pardon me, sir?
will we get another report that shows the actual? Like you said, that it doesn't show up in this report.
Correct. That's generated through our financial, typically at the end of the year when we do our overall financial budgets.
Okay, I'll have to look at that.
Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Councillor Denis.
Through your worship to Amanda, it's important to note that all of the venues were basically sold out. And that they were at maximum capacity to even come up with these numbers, which is great. And the other thing, I see the gender of sales, female. I know doggone good and well that if I would have been told to order my tickets too. That's just a general thing that we would do for the guys. But it's really good to see this. Thank you.
Well done. All right. I order the tickets in my house, just saying. That's great. Yes, Councillor MacArthur.
Yeah, I'm just trying, I believe before COVID, we got some advertising grants from wherever any of them still accessible, or was that a one-time shot?
Right. Thank you very much. And through you, Mayor Measures. So there are a number of provincial grants as well as regional grants. In the festival series last year, we did not apply for grant funding. That was very strategic. We didn't know what this would look like. So by the time we were able to get all of our planning in place, those grant opportunities would have come and gone. There is currently a provincial grant right now called Experience Ontario. It's due on Friday, and I'm working with our partners on getting a grant submitted for that.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other members? Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Murray, again, and all the volunteers that work on small halls. It's always a great event, and I look forward to the many weekends of events and days of events as we go forward. Terry, do you have anything you want to add? Okay. Well, thank you very much also for your work on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members of council, you've got a motion in front of you. I believe we have a mover and seconder. I'm looking to call the motion. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, still in Parks, Recreation, Culture Department, we have a report PCR 008 2023. It's a rink dehumidification equipment replacement. I'll read the recommendation and look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that report PCR 008 2023 rink dehumidification equipment replacement dated April 24, 2023 be received, and that council approve the proposal submitted by Carmichael Engineering Limited in the amount of $82,640 sole sourcing for the corresponding specialized equipment to be to the existing refrigeration system. Mover and seconder, Mr. Deputy Mayor and Mr. Broderick again. Thank you. Terry, would you like to speak to this briefly?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I think the report's pretty self-explanatory. I definitely would be willing to answer some questions.
All right. Members of council, any questions? Yes, go ahead. You guys are good with the cards. You know, if you get my attention, that's fast too. It's all right. Go ahead, Robert.
Just a couple. I think that was evident, the dehumidification the other night when it was warm and the crowd was the size it was with that. How old is the existing, the stuff being replaced? Is it back quite a few, I think, is it not?
That's a good question. Thank you, Your Worship. I think it might be original. It might be like original dehumidification equipment. It's been there for a while.
Yeah.
It's been breaking down very often lately. Thank God, knock on wood, that we've been getting through this year, but it's 20 plus years for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe it's close to being original, if not original. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I remember talking to Dan Gowan about that. He said it was in there when the building went up.
There you go. Yes, go ahead, Deputy.
The only comment I'll add to it, Terry, when we were in the middle of that 3-on-3 hockey tournament on the Saturday afternoon, when that thing packed it in and we put the phone calls out and it was like the haze and the glass is fogging. It needs to be done.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's great. Thank you very much, Terry, for the report. Members of council, if there's nothing further, we've got a mover and seconder, and I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Also unanimous. Thank you. Council, thank you. Thank you, Parks and Recreation. And now we're going to move to Public Works. We have a few staff members here to join us for this next report. I'll read this motion and I'm going to stop where it says to be adopted. We'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that report PW 006 2023 dated April 24, 2023 be received, and further that the following quality management system policy for the municipal drinking water system be adopted. And the reason I'm stopping is just want everybody to know that this is part of the motion, but this is the actual motion that or part of it that's going to be included. And here it is. It is Clearview Township's aim to ensure safe drinking water to the end user within all township-owned water systems. Through this policy, the township commits to follow all applicable legislation and regulations that are associated with the safety and the delivery of drinking water. Through maintenance and continual improvements to the quality management system, the township is identifying, measuring, controlling, and improving the various core water works processes that will ultimately lead to improved water works performance. And that's the entire motion. I'm looking for a mover and seconder. Mr. Broderick, Ms. Deneen, thank you. All right. Now we have quite a report here from us or for us. Todd is with us, Todd Patton, and also Stephanie Schell is with us, our compliance officer. As I always say, it's always a pleasure to have Stephanie with us because she doesn't always join us in the chambers, but glad to have her here. She is a compliance officer. So Steph, I'm going to turn to you. You want to comment on this fantastic work?
Okay, sure. Thank you very much, Your Worship. Good evening, members of council. So Todd and I are here this evening. Todd being our overall responsible operator for our drinking water systems amongst many of the hats that he wears for our department. So tonight we are here to ask this council for the show of support for the endorsement of our drinking water quality management system in two different ways. This is the first of those for these two reports that we have coming subsequently. So the first of which is by adopting the policy statement that Mayor Measures so eloquently just got through for us.
Stumbled, but that's okay.
Did good, better than I would have. So for almost 15 years now, a plaque with those words has been hanging in the wall out here. I'm not sure if everybody is aware of that, but it's on the wall coming into council chambers. And it's in demonstration of our commitment to provide the citizens of Clearview with a safe, clean drinking water. And through our quality management system and the continual improvement that we will continue to do so for many years to come. So that's why we're just asking council for their approval and endorsement of that policy.
All right. Thank you very much. Excellent. Good report. Lots of information and very happy to have it here at our council table. Members of council, do you have any questions to the team? No questions. We just went through an amazing training session, by the way, with the Walkerton Water trainers. And it was actually a pleasure to have Mike Ron sit in as a classmate of us, as Mike himself is a trainer and trains this at other municipalities, but he's required to sit in on the training here, which is great. So it was good to have Mike there. So thank you, Mike. But it was a good class. So thank you very much for helping to organize that. I think I've spurred on the conversation. Paul, go ahead.
Thank you. Just a quick question, Todd. I just want to make sure, and the mayor is correct. We got educated and turned a few ways. We do have enough operators right now. I guess I saw the certifications for the WS 1s, 2s, and 3s that you've got. We're in good shape for that.
Yes, through your worship. Thank you for the question. Yes, we are. We're managing our workload without problem right now. I mean, as we grow, we'll have to reevaluate like every department does. But yes, we can manage with what we have right now.
Good. We heard some of the horror stories from other communities in the past, and it was nice to get the support from our community. So thank you very much.
We just to follow up on that, like we received an email on the weekend from I wouldn't call it a neighboring municipality, but another municipality that is in dire straits. So it's through OnWarn is our emergency response that we are with other municipalities on that council approved years ago. And yes, they're looking for operators to assist with their system. So we're thankful that we have the support and of council over the years, and we have good staff in place to manage our water systems.
Yeah, it's nice to help. Thank you.
Excellent. Good stuff. All right, members of council, it's a very good report and glad to have it here. Thank you very much, staff, for bringing this forward. Council, you've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? Thank you. That passes unanimously. And thank you for reminding us all that this is right outside the council chamber door, right here in the chambers. Thank you. All right, moving on. We have another report, also from the same team. Recommendation, be it resolved that PW 007-2023, the Drinking Water Quality Management System Operational Plan endorsement dated April 24th, 2023 be received. And further, that the Township of Clearview Drinking Water Quality Management System Operational Plan as set out in Attachment A to report PW 007-2023 be endorsed. Is there a mover and seconder on this one? Mr. Beelan and Mr. Walker. Why, thank you. Do you guys have anything you want to add in regards to this?
Sure, I can keep going here.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you here. So you go right ahead.
Thank you. So our second report here pertains to the operational plan for the quality management system, a copy of which was included as Appendix A of this report. It details how the water department meets the requirements of each of the 21 elements of the Ontario Drinking Water Quality Management Standard. After each municipal election, we bring forward this document for your support. And as you're aware, as owners of the drinking water systems, you play a very key role in ensuring that the resources are required by our department are provided so that we can continue to provide water and safe drinking water to our residents. The operational plan is a living document, and updates to the plan occur on a regular basis, and the information to ensure that the information is accurate and in line with how we function. I'm very pleased to see your endorsement of this document tonight. So thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Schell. Any questions to the staff on these reports and all the appendixes? All right. Thank you again. Council, we have a motion with a mover and seconder, and I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimously. Thank you. All right. And the final one on this group is recommendation be it resolved that report PW 008/2023, the Drinking Water Quality Management System Annual Management Review dated April the 24th, 2023, be received. I'll look for Councillor Deneen and Councillor Walker. Thank you. Are the mover and seconder? Anything you want to say on the management plan?
Sure, I can. So as you were just mentioning there at the beginning here, as you'll recall from the standard of care training session that we did last month, the management review meeting is held on an annual basis, and it provides a high level overview of information on a broad range of topics from our department, from day-to-day operations to infrastructure planning and emergency management, just to name a couple of them. The report is produced based on the meeting that was held, and it's an opportunity for council to receive information on the operational performance of the drinking water systems and the quality management system itself as well. So, so the report before you was from our meeting last month with our top management group. So,
all right, thank you very much. I'm going to turn to Mike Ron. Mike, do you have anything you want to add to this report? As I guess you are the last signature in responsibility of all this.
Actually, the CAO is the top dog on.
Well, you are the water thing.
Yeah. No. So the water department, or the division of the Public Works Department, I guess, is pretty critical to providing public health in the drinking water systems, and look after a huge responsibility that this council has as the owners of these systems, and they do a fantastic job. So, I don't have to say anything. Like, these folks say it all, and the foreman, Dale Lightheart, is actually the water foreman. Could probably lead some of these conversations too, but isn't necessary yet. So thanks. That's all.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again to the entire department. As Mike said, does keep us all safe. So thank you all for that, for all the work you do on that. Council, nothing further? All right. You have a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. All right. Good job. Thanks for coming out. Council, we're going to move on to, we've got a couple other items still in this category. So road use extension agreement for 5205 concession 6 South, which, by the way, I had to go look up on the map. Even though I didn't know it existed actually. So I had to go look it up. Glad to see it. Here we are. I'll read the recommendation. I'll look for a mover and seconder. Be it resolved that report PW 009/2023 road use and extension agreement be received, and further that a bylaw be enacted authorizing the mayor and clerk to enter into a road use and extension agreement with 131704446 Canada Inc. Under the name Robert McDonald, part lots 4 and 5, concession 7 3502, concession 6 South, Nottawasaga. Okay, a mover on that. Mr. Broderick, seconder. Mr. Beelan, thank you. Dan, do you have anything you want to add to this?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just wanted to point out that this is a building lot that they're proposing to build on. So this is providing frontage, proper frontage, and affords an opportunity to provide a proper turnaround as well at the end of the dead end, so that our plow trucks and graders and whatnot can safely and properly turn around, which we don't have just yet right now. So,
okay. So it's a little bit of an upgrade, as well as providing that frontage that's necessary for a building lot. Thank you. Oh, great. Any questions from this council? Yes, Paul, go ahead.
Thank you, Dan. In the agreement, it gives us full access to the road. They are just upgrading our road, correct?
Through your worship to Deputy Mayor, that is correct. So the road remains under our ownership. Okay. We're allowed, not like a developer would, that, you know, they're building the road to a certain condition where we would accept it. This is just allows for a small portion of that to be upgraded to provide themselves access to their property. And then once we're satisfied, then we would take back ownership or maintenance of that, yes, that section of the road.
As the mayor commented on, and I know that area, went and looked at her, and there's a lot of stops and starts of the 6th line in Nottawasaga, and that's one of them. And I want to make sure if ever someday we do connect the dots, that we have full access. We don't, lose that control sort of thing. And just for interest, I'll say it to our water people, the property beside it is the original property where the water from Creemore came from. And so just out of interest, if we ever did run into problems, Todd, you hear this, that there is water up on them there hills. So anyways, it's important that we keep our accesses open and go from there. Thank you.
Good points, Deputy Mayor. Thank you. All right. Anybody else with any questions to Todd? No? All right, Council. Thank you, Dan and Todd. We have a motion in front of us with a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that also carries unanimous. Thank you. One more. PW. Wow, did you do this on purpose? It's PW 10 regarding concession 10. Well done. PW 010-2023 concession 10 reconstruction phase 2 tender results and award. I'll read the recommendation and I'll look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation to receive report PW 010-2023 concession 10 reconstruction phase 2 tender results dated April 24, 2023. And that council award the tender submitted by Arnell Construction Limited, also known as Sealy and Arnell Construction, in the amount of $3,471,611.98, which including HST, to build the infrastructure and reconstruction of road as described in tender 2023-01 and summarized in this report. Okay. Mover, pardon me, is that correct? Yeah. Okay, anybody? Mover and seconder, Mr. MacArthur, Mr. Van Stavern. Okay. Do you want to speak to this before I throw the questions, if there's any? That's here too. Oh, Baz is here too.
Yeah.
Just to acknowledge Baz is with us as well. I'll go to you though, Dan. Go ahead, Dan.
Just wanted to point that out, Your Worship, that this is Baz's project, our project manager, and he's handled this right from day one. So this is just a continuation, if council remembers, in 2021. I think we did the first phase. Didn't do the second phase because of funding, but we were able to provide some gas tax and OCIF funding to complete this project, to get that last portion of gravel road done. And I'm very excited to see this section of road done as well. If council does approve this, very motivated contractor, worked well with us in the past, and excited to get this started. But Mr. DeCanish is available for, I'd say, more technical questions if there are any.
All right,
I'll be here to assist.
Thank you. I'll just turn to Baz DeCanish. Baz, nice to have you joining us here at the council meeting. Do you have any comments you want to bring to before I open for questions?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Worship. No, really, the report is pretty generally straightforward. Here for any questions. If approved, we're anticipating of starting construction mid-May, ending sometime in the fall.
Excellent. All right, members of council, questions to our staff, if you have any questions. Yes, Paul, go right ahead.
Dan, about 2 weeks ago, I drove the 10th line, sort of looking at a few things up there, and they were doing some drilling up there. It looks like some test drilling. Would that have any, like, we've already received our tenders by that time. Would that have any effect on our contracts as far as changes or anything else? I just want to make sure we're not blindsided, or they were jumping the gun a bit on what they were looking for.
Dan, would you like to take that?
Through Your Worship, to Deputy Mayor, no, that work that they were doing should not impact the work upcoming. That is, we hired that geotechnical firm in advance of this contract with the knowledge of the excess soils regulations, that any excavated material would be tested ahead of time, so that we would have be preemptive in knowing where and what we could do with any of the excavated material over there. And that there were no surprises, and to my knowledge, there were none.
Good, thank you. I just was questioning that. Yeah.
All right. Members, thank you very much for that. Anybody else with on council with any questions to this contract and this project? All right, I do have one small, and that is, I guess, to Baz. During the construction and when this nears its completion, will you be certainly adding 60 km/h signs to that section of the road?
I might have to defer that to the deputy director.
I wanted to go to you, Baz. I want to see what you had to say on this one.
I'll defer to the deputy director at this
All
point
right.
in time.
Go ahead, Deputy Director.
Your worship, our fantastic team in the Public Works Department this past fall erected the 60 km/h zone all the way from County Road 124, sorry, all the way to Collingwood. So those signs are in place. They most likely will have to be removed and reposted once the construction is complete.
Okay. I've had people ask me about them and I say, they're there. If you look carefully, they're there. If you're going slow enough, you'll probably see them. Nevertheless, and I just want to point that out, that at a recent dinner I was was asked about the speed signs and I said, I'm pretty sure they're there. If you haven't seen them, maybe you're going too quick. They're saying. Anyway.
It was very well laid out, I'll say, by our roads foreman per the traffic manual.
Well done. Members of council, if nothing further. All right. Council, you've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you. Good luck with that, Baz and Dan, to get that completed. All right, one more report in this area. Sidewalk and curb gutter reconstruction. We have a report. So it's a recommendation to receive the report PW 011-2023 sidewalk and curb gutter tender results dated April 24, 2023. That council award the tender submitted by 978481 Ontario Inc. C&G Concrete in the amount of $382,587.42, including HST, for the sidewalk and curb gutter reconstruction. Okay, a mover and seconder. Mr. Broderick, seconded. Mr. Walker. All right, guys. Curb and gutter project. Dan, have you got any comments you want to add to this? Or is this Baz as well?
Worship, this is probably more Baz.
Oh, it's more Baz. You see, I've got to say, Baz, I'm getting used to you being the project manager, so I'm going to pay a little closer attention to that. So
sounds good.
Straight to Baz. Go ahead.
Thank you, Worship.
Mr. Duquesne.
Thank you, Worship. So basically it's just our yearly sidewalk reconstruction, restoration and curb and gutter. So this year, as the report highlighted, it did come a little bit over budget. However, as you guys, as council may be aware, reading the report, that the OCIF funding, which was basically the savings from the 10th concession, we're able to similarly allocate that to the sidewalk. So basically, it's going to its same funding mechanism.
Excellent. All right. Members of council, any questions to Mr. Duquesne? We'll not worry about Mr. Pro. Members of council, nothing further? Oh, yes. Go ahead, Paul.
Sorry, and I guess I may be throwing this back at Amy. I had a question the other day from a member or a constituent asking, with the new development on Sunnydale Street, the new water, are they getting sidewalks down there? Do you happen to know?
That could be a Mike or a Dan question, actually. Who's going to take that?
I'll take that.
All right, Dan.
Yes, definitely. Sidewalk all up along the new urbanized section of Sunnydale.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Leave on the north side.
I knew they couldn't do it included in that budget or that tender, but I figured we'd see it.
Yes, it's under the contract that was awarded a few months ago.
Yeah, for Primrose. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else with any other questions? All right. One comment, we have worked, or I've certainly seen C&G Concrete appear at this council before. So our team have worked with them before in the past. Yeah.
I think this might be third year in a row, I believe.
I think so.
Yes.
All right. Okay, excellent. Council, you've got a motion in front of you with a mover and seconder. I am prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that carries unanimous. Again, thank you very much, Mr. Dokanish, and thank you, Dan, and the whole team.
Thank you.
Well done. Okay, we're going to go to administration. We do have a report from the CAO. So we'll go to that first and thank the staff that are leaving. Report CAO 002-2023, strategic planning consultant. I'll read the recommendation and look for a mover and seconder. Recommendation, be it resolved that Council of the Township of Clearview hereby one, receive report CAO 002-2023, the strategic planning consultant report dated April 24, 2023. And item 2, after review of the township solicitor, direct the mayor and clerk to sign the strategic plan consultant agreement with Dunbar and Associates. And item 3, direct staff to prepare a bylaw to be presented to council at the May 8th, 2023 meeting with the agreement forming Schedule A of the bylaw. Can I have a mover and seconder? Deputy Mayor, Mr. Broderick, thank you. Mr. CAO, any comments?
Thank you, Your Worship. No, I think the report speaks for itself. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you. Members of council, any questions to the CAO? Okay, yes, go ahead, Mr. Beelan.
Thank you, Your Worship. John, how much did we budget for this?
It's around, there's 2 budgets associated with this, and I think it's approximately 43,000.
Okay. Anybody else with any other questions? Okay. All right, council, you've got a motion in front of you. I've got a mover and seconder. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? And that also carries unanimous. Thank you. All right. So we're going to move on to bylaws. And if everything times out, we might be done in time for me to go to the meeting that I'm supposed to go to at 7:30. So how's that? All right, bylaw number, the first one is number 2333. It's a funding agreement with the Collingwood General Marine Hospital Foundation. There is an explanatory note attached. I don't think we need to have any comments on that. You probably had a chance to read it. And so I'll read the bylaw. Be it resolved that bylaw 2233 being a bylaw that authorizes entering into a funding agreement with the Collingwood General Marine Hospital Foundation for aquatics programs be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 24th day of April 2023. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Deneen. You've heard the bylaw. I'll call the bylaw. All those in favor? Bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you. Next bylaw, we're on page 8. Municipal Pound Services Agreement. Recommendation, be it resolved that bylaw 2334 being a bylaw that authorizes entering into a pound services agreement with the Alliston District Humane Society be presented and read a first, second, and third time, finally passed on the 24th day of April 2023. Can I have that moved by Councillor Deneen and Councillor Walker? Thank you. You've heard the bylaw. I'm prepared to call it. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries unanimous. Thank you. Road use extension agreement. And that one is bylaw 2335, being a bylaw that authorizes entering into a road use extension agreement with 131704446 Canada Inc., Robert McDonald, for the extension of the unmaintained road allowance on concession 6 South, be presented at a first, second, and third time, finally passed 24th day of April 2023. Mover and seconder, Mr. MacArthur, seconded by Mr. Broderick. And you've heard the bylaw. I'm prepared to call it. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries. Thank you. Youth Employment Experience Agreement. We also have an explanatory note. I believe it's part of your package, so you probably all read it. Very good. Be it resolved that bylaw 23-36, being a bylaw that authorizes entering into a youth employment experience agreement with Canada Parks and Recreation Association, known as the CPRA, be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed this 24th day of April 2023. Moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Mr. Walker. Thank you. And you've heard the bylaw. I'll call it. All those in favor? And the bylaw carries unanimous. At this point, I'd like to, before we read this bylaw, I want to welcome to the table, we have Krista Pascoe, who has joined us as our new deputy clerk. Welcome aboard. It's our first council meeting to attend here, but she's comes to us with several years of experience as a deputy clerk in a nearby municipality, of which we have a great deal of respect for, but we're so glad we got you. How's that? So there you go. Welcome aboard and nice to have you join us here. All right. You can work with Sasha and keep us in line. Okay. Council, the appointment of the deputy clerk. Recommendation, be it resolved that bylaw 2338 being a bylaw to appoint Krista Pasco as the deputy clerk for the township of Clearview be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 24th day of April 2023. Moved by the deputy mayor, seconded by Councillor Deneen. I'm prepared to call the motion. All those in favor? That carries unanimous.
We should have put up our cards.
No problem. Welcome, Deputy Clerk Pasco. All right, notice of motion or new business? Anybody have any notice of motion or new business like to bring forward? Oh, yes, Mr. MacArthur.
Yeah, I'd just like to bring it to council's attention. As we all know, there was a devastating fire in Creemore to business last fall, and the owner of that business is struggling. And he's made an application to the township for a food truck in the to try and keep his business going. And in the vending bylaw 2162, there is subsection 3.32 that no vendor shall be permitted within the area defined as in Schedule B of this bylaw surrounding the Creemore Business Improvement Area jurisdiction as established by council bylaw without a recommendation approving the location by the Creemore BIA. So I just like fellow councilors, if you could do maybe look into that a wee bit, and depending, the BIA seems to be dragging their feet a wee bit on making a decision on this. And I think we really need to help this fellow out, and we can maybe discuss it further at the next council meeting. So that's all I have to say at this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing that forward. Other items of new business? Paul?
Thank you, Your Worship. As I had a bit of a discussion with this worship this afternoon, and as a lot of people are aware, the province announced the development of the, we'll call it the Oak Ridges Moraine Provincial Park. And they're doing all the studies and outlook on it and stuff like that. And my consideration, and I've not had a chance to meet with Sasha to draft a bylaw, but my recommendation is to recognize the natural beauties of Clearview Township. And within this, I would like the council to draft a letter to Brian Saunderson to take to the province in regards to reconsider the reopening and redevelopment of the Devil's Glen Provincial Park. It's been sitting there empty for years. They're going to spend millions of dollars down in the city. We've had problems with parking on the 10th line. We've got a beautiful facility that can be redeployed, and I think it's time we bring it to the attention. And Brian Saunderson, our MPP, is a great steward of this area, and I think it would give him a potential feather in his hat to go looking at bringing this forward to the province. My recommendation or my request is more for discussion right now, but to bring it forward as a resolution, or we can do a resolution now, but whatever.
Resolution on the next meeting, since you're bringing it up in a new business.
That's correct. That's
okay.
Fine. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, members of council, it's nice to hear some new business. Anybody else with anything? All right, we're going to move to our confirmatory bylaw. Recommendation be it resolved that bylaw 2337 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the April 24, 2023 regular council meeting be presented and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed on the 24th day of April 2023. I'll look this way. Mr. Walker, thank you. Mr. Beal or Ms. Nadine, thank you. You're quick there with the card. Good for you. You've heard the bylaw. All those in favor? Thank you. The confirmatory passes unanimous. Now we are looking at the motion to adjourn. Recommendation be it resolved. Council meeting adjourned. What time we got here? What's on your computer over there? 16? 7:16 it is PM. And that'll be Beelan and MacArthur. Beelan and MacArthur. Motion to adjourn. All those in favor? All right. We're adjourned. It's before 7:30. I understand there's some people that want to watch some hockey tonight. I'm going to watch hockey tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.
And you don't have time. You got to work late.